stairs, slabs, buttons, pressure plates, fences, fence gates, walls, doors, and trapdoors. Let's make these special blocks. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Today we will create all these special blocks that are not really a block, but will occupy the space as a block, like a door or a slab or half a slab. Every one of these, stairs and etc. The very first step to make these is that we need to create a new block by itself in mod blocks. Now, the block is nothing special. Let's call it, let's start with citrine. Citrine stairs, and this will be block citrine stairs. Now, instead of making a new block, we will make something else. We will say new stairs block, and here we need to give a default state. As you see, it asks for a block state. For block state, we can get it from the citrine block itself. So mod blocks.citrine.get default state. This is the state, okay? And then after the state, we need to give a settings. And again, we say fabric block settings dot copy of. And here again, I will go with blocks.amethyst block. And that's it. That's how you add a stair into your mod, okay? You can copy paste it for Ruby, for Sapphire, but let's continue forward. I will copy this guy and I will call it citrine slab, and the block itself, the block type is slab block. Now, slab block doesn't need this default state. It just needs the settings. Now, why did the stair need a state? Because when you put a stair on the ground in the game, it looks on a direction, upward, downward, if there is a block beside of it that it needs to connect to. And these are the block states. We will talk about block states later, but be aware that we need to identify a state for some of these special blocks. Sometimes we can ignore them. Now I will paste it again. I will call it button. And here we need a button block. Now button block again doesn't need the state. However, after the settings, it needs something else. It is asking for the type of the button. So we say block set type dot, and as you see, we can say that, hey, this is something like iron. Then the next param, it changed a little bit. You see that it says press ticks. Well, press ticks is 10. The next parameter is settings, and I think we need to tweak them because, yes, in 20.4, they were placed one after another in a different order. The first one is the block set type, and we set it as the iron type. Then it asks for the ticks, then the settings, and finally, we say that, hey, wait a minute. Yeah, that's it. So another change was that the button block had a parameter at the end that would set wooden, means that if we would throw anything on top of it, then it would be pressed, but this is removed in the new versions. So for creating a button, we choose a button block, then we set the type of the button. Now this means that we are setting some things. For example, we are saying that, hey, can open by hand is false. Can open by wind change is false. Can button be activated by arrow is false. Pressure plate sensitive is everything. Sound type is blah. So we are setting some settings on the button just by choosing this block set type. Okay, be aware of that. If you want your button to behave differently, you should choose something else. But for a gem that has a button, I think iron is a good one. The next one is the press ticks. It means that when we press the button, how many ticks it will remain pressed. 10 means half a second because each second in Minecraft is 20 ticks. And finally, we are choosing a settings for this block like always. Okay, then we want a pressure plate, and let me copy this one because things will change again. So it's citrine pressure plate, and I should make this button all uppercase. Okay, so this is citrine pressure plate. And now we have to say that, hey, this is a pressure plate block. Okay, so pressure plate block. Now, if you don't know what is going on, just move your mouse and wait. And you see that we ask for a type, we ask for a setting. The type is again iron. Now we are asking for settings, and that is it. So again, just looking at the Java doc here guides you what should be assigned in which order. So the next one is fence. So citrine fence, and this is a fence block. And again, if you look, fence block is just asks for settings, and that's the settings. Bingo. After the fence, we have fence gate, and this is fence gate block. And again, if you look now, we asks for type and settings. Now type here says wood type, okay? And it means that what type of sound it should play most of the time. So if you say wood type dot, for example, I don't know, oak, why not? And then honestly, it's not a big deal for fence gates because unfortunately, we don't have anything that is representing anything iron-like or gem-like, because all of these are just woods. And the param is asking for a wood type. Okay, so I'm not sure if we say block type.iron, it would be acceptable here. And you see it's not being accepted because it is asking for a wood type, and wood type is just a record. We will talk about records in Java programming tutorials, but basically it's its own type and it's not inheriting from something that is usable by block types. We are limited to these, and all of them are just wood. That is why when you have a fence gate made out of, I don't know, netherrack, you would still hear some repetitive wooden sound when you try to open them. Okay, the next one is the door. So citrine door. And again, you guessed it, it's door block. And door block is just asking for block set type and settings. For block set types, we have iron and then the settings. Finally, we have trapdoor. So citrine trapdoor, and it's a trap door block. And trapdoor again asks for the type and the settings. And just by that, we already set everything in place. However, we just registered them. So again, we have to do the translations. And remember, these are blocks. So you can just duplicate any block and just block.uio. something. So this is citrine stairs, citrine slab. Make sure that we are using slab. So that was button. This is the pressure plate. So citrine pressure plate, citrine fence, fence gate, door, and finally trap door. And if I remove this comma at the end, everything should work. Now, that's the translation. If we have any issues on the translation in the game, we can come back and fix them. Now, model provider, this is where things become interesting. Before that, let's do the loot, because loot is easy. In generate, everything should drop itself, but with a little bit of tweaks. So I will copy them, citrine underline stairs, duplicate it multiple times. And this is slab. However, for a slab, we should say slab drops, and again, mod blocks dot citrine slab. Why do I need to add this second parameter for slab and again later for the door? Because slabs can be half a slab or two half a slabs on top of each other. And this second parameter says that, hey, if we are breaking double half a slabs on top of each other, then you should drop two half a slabs. And for the door, of course, each door has two blocks on top of each other. So when you break the door, you should drop a very special thing called a door. So don't drop two blocks. Basically, that's the whole story there. So for button, we are dropping itself. For pressure plate, we are dropping it by itself. Fence gate. Oh, I forgot something. I forgot the wall. How did I miss that one? Okay, so wall, let's go after the fence gate. We say citrine wall, and this is, by the way, it's easy wall block, and it just asks for settings, and that's it. So here we should say that duplicate, and this is citrine wall. So that's the translation. So this here is citrine wall. Again, it's dropping itself, and we need two more, and exactly we have two more. So door, again, we say door drops of mod blocks dot citrine door. Finally, the very last one is trapdoor. So we are good with the loot table. We will come back to the tag provider, but let's take a look at this model provider. We have two different things of blocks here. The very first one, block state model generator dot register door, and we say mod blocks dot citrine door. That's the door for you. And the next one is trapdoor. So trapdoor, citrine trapdoor. Okay, and that's those two. However, for stairs, slab, button, pressure plate, fence gate, and wall, you have to tweak something and do it differently, because all of these that I named are using their texture from a full block being the citrine block. We want to cut that block in a very special way, for example, to show a half a slab, or to show the stairs or fence gates, etc. So how do I do that? Well, each one of these block state model generators can register simple cube all, or it can say register cube all model texture pool. Now, model texture pool, as you look, returns a block texture pool. So we can say a block texture pool, and we call it the citrine pool equals to that. Okay, so we cache the returning texture pool into a variable. Now we get that, and we can use it to say that, hey, we want to register stairs, and we say mod blocks dot citrine stairs. Just like this, we are saying that, hey, mod blocks citrine stairs should use the texture from this pool. Generate the model for me. And the Datagen provider will know that this is a stair type that uses this texture, blah, blah, blah. Everything will work like magic. So after that, slabs is using mod blocks dot citrine slab. Then we say button, and it uses the button. The pressure plate, fence uses fence, and fence gate uses fence gate. Finally, the wall uses the wall. There we go. These few lines will create very complex JSON files that we will take a look in a few minutes, and you will really appreciate the power of Datagen for these JSON files. So the last things that we need to do, if we come into block tag provider, we see that in some cases, for example, now that I added the OR blocks between the episodes, I added the copper, redstone, lapis, and etc. However, we are lacking three actually, very critical tags. So we should add it, get or create tag builder for block tags dot fences. This one is really important because if you don't add your block as a fence, then different types of fences wouldn't connect to this one. For example, the netherrack one, okay? Actually, I think there is a very special case. We will talk about that in-game. But long story short, if you want different type of fences to be connected to your fence, you need to add it to this tag, okay? Fences. The next one is fence gates. So we add the fence gate. And finally, the last one is the walls. So walls, and we have the wall here. These three are really important. Don't forget to add them here, especially the fences and fence gates, okay? One last thing that you need to do, especially if your textures are like this. If you look at my blocks, you will see that my door bottom and top. The bottom is just the citrine itself, but the top has some cuts inside the texture. Same goes for the trapdoor, but I think I didn't add the trapdoor yet, the texture for trapdoor. So you will see that the trapdoor is not showing. It will use the checker texture. It's okay. I will add the texture between the episodes. But for the door, I have these cuts inside the texture. Now I need to somehow tell the Minecraft that, hey, you need to draw these textures as transparent. How can I do that? You come to your client initializer. Now, for me, it's the client class. Uninitialize client, and here, before doing anything else, we say that block render layer map dot instance dot put block. Now, this means that, hey, I want to do something special on how you are rendering this block in different layers. Here we say mod blocks dot citrine door, comma, render layer dot get cutout. You can find it in different calls, or you can type get cutout and it will be there. So get cutout means that, hey, we have some full transparent or semi-transparent things here and there, and just cut that out of the texture. If you have a glass, for example, that has transparency, it's not cut pixels, but has transparency, or any item that has transparency, here you can say get translucent, and that transparency will work. So although I don't have the texture yet, I will say that, hey, for the trapdoor, do the same thing, okay? Now, it's time for running the Datagen. Okay, if this happens to you at any time, it says that attempted to register ID something at different raw IDs. If you're trying to override an item, use something. It's really simple. You just done copy paste, you forgot to change something. As simple as that. So be careful. As I said always, copy paste is your enemy. So run the Datagen again. And by the way, when it was working, I just simply went and added the citrine trapdoor, and that's just another cut on the textures. So this is the citrine top, this is the trapdoor, basically. And finally, generating the data, we are done. 62 JSONs are created. Now, you may say, it's not a lot. However, if we take a look at these, take a look. Block citrine button, button inventory, button pressed. So button, it's easy. Inventory is easy. Pressed is easy. Bottom for the door, bottom left, bottom right, top. And actually, these are for the open and not open. So as you see, things are getting a little bit crazy here and there. Okay, so let's close all these and let's take a look at something really interesting. Now, if we come back, take a look. Block citrine stairs. Ready? How crazy is this? Well, actually, it's not crazy. If you take a look, what is going on here? It's a very good example on explaining some JSON modelings. We have different variants for a stair, isn't it? Then facing east, and we are putting on half bottom. It's the inner left, inner right, outer left, outer right, just for one variant. Then when we put it on top. So again, inner left, inner right, outer left, outer right. And each one of these, what is it doing is that, hey, it says, hey, the model should use block citrine, stairs, inner. So if I come back and take a look, we have stairs, inner. It says that for the textures, bottom, side, top, look for block citrine. Okay, we understood so far that it says that, hey, we have a model that uses the same texture as citrine. It says that lock the UV and rotate on y-axis. So you see that for the right, inner right, for example, it's not locking the UV, it's not rotating, and so on and so forth. So basically, all this JSON file is just saying that, hey, I'm facing some direction, I'm putting it on the lower half or the upper half of the block, and I need to draw the model in a different way with different UVs and different rotations on the X, Y, or maybe Z axis. So that's the block state for you. However, for stairs, it's really crazy. For the door, it's again a little bit crazy. For the fence, not as crazy as before. For button, it's a little bit crazy. Fence gate, it's not as complex. Slab is easy. Trapdoor, not bad. And wall finally is not that bad. But think about just these few JSONs and the JSONs that you need to put in place so that all of these work. Total of 62 JSON files with different complexities on different rotations, UV locks, etc., etc. Now you see how powerful it is to have Datagen creating all of these for you. And that's the beauty of Datagen. And that is why I highly suggested that in the first steps of any mod development, you should have Datagen up and running, because think that you would have to write all these JSONs. Now, the only thing left is to add them on our group here. I will add them under the blocks and before or. So entries.add mod blocks.citrine button, citrine door, fence, fence gate, and I will add the wall right here. Then we have slabs, stairs, trapdoors. I will cut them and move them up. What else do we have? Well, that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I missed the pressure plate. And that's it. Okay. And I again get the pressure plate, put it side by side with button. Now, if we run the game, we should see them in game and they should be functional. So Minecraft is coming up, entering our world, going for, by the way, I will talk about this in the right or at the end of this episode. Don't worry. So keep in mind, this is a special model. Let's go for blocks. Door and trapdoor are not they are not using the texture that I assigned, maybe because of the naming. We will find out. But we have the button, we have the pressure plate, we have a door, that's okay. We have a trapdoor, that's okay. We have the fence gate, wall, slab, and the stairs. So let's start with the stairs, and you see that they are looking correct. That's how stairs should work. Okay, the half a slab is okay. The wall is okay, and it's connecting. The fence is working, fence gate, fence, and we can open the fence gate, close the fence gate. Now, pressure plate and the button. Let's get the, redstone dust to put them here. So if I hit this, the redstone is actually being activated, as you see. And if I move and step on the pressure plate, it will turn on the redstone. So those two are working. The last one, the door and the trapdoor. Well, the door and actually a trapdoor. Okay, wait a minute. So let's put it on here. And it's not opening. Okay, so let's close. Now, to take a look at the models, the door should use the block citrine trapdoor. That is the name of the texture that I have. for the trapdoor. So we have, yeah, there we go. That should be the naming. So block citrine trapdoor. And for the door itself, I know it should be block citrine door, but whatever. Let's take a look. Block citrine door bottom and top. Okay. So again, we have citrine door top and bottom. These needs to be changed. So this is the bottom and this should be top. Okay. Let's run the game again and see if that trapdoor thing is working or not. And we should take a look at the issues if it's not. By the way, don't worry about these errors. Invalid path in mod resource pack UIO texture block not used. These are some textures that I'm not using, just keeping them in the resource folder so they are showing up in the error that says you have invalid pathing there. It's not important. We will remove them when we want to publish our mod. The not used folders will always be deleted. Okay, so again, there we go. We have a door. It's not working with right click. We have a trapdoor that is not working with a right click. And my door is not showing correctly. And yeah, I think we are missing something here. Okay, I got some errors during recording. Back to the game, you see that the textures are showing up properly. However, if I right click on them, they are not being opened. If I move on the pressure plate, the trapdoor is open, the texture is not correct. And if I move on a pressure plate on the door, now the door is behaving. The reason for this behavior, why is not these trapdoors, or these doors and trapdoors behave properly with right click? By the way, if you look, when I'm looking at the door, the help on the top, in the center of the monitor, is not working correctly again. So some things are missing. It looks like some things are missing. First of all, why is the door and trapdoor is not right clickable? Well, you set the type to be iron. And if we say that it's oak, then it will open by your right click. Let's test that one. So I should be able to right click this one and the door is opening. The trapdoor is opening now. So basically, now they are just, normal wooden doors and trapdoors that you can open. And by the way, villagers and others can open that too. So it's up to you to decide if you want to keep these as wooden doors or if you want to make them irons. And well, we will talk about that in decision makings later. However, here's a question. When I want to open this trapdoor, sometimes I see this issue. Now remember, it's not showing up all the time. Because these two, in theory, are just the same. Now, if I put some block behind it, there we go. We see this X-ray effect. See, we are looking at beyond that block, and we have to deal with this now. And I think that's the same effect. We are seeing the sky here because of X-rays. Now, guess what is going on? When we are defining the door and the trapdoor, we are copying the settings from Amethyst block. Now, Amethyst block is lacking something special. However, if I say that it is iron door and this one is iron trapdoor, and we take a look at these settings, you see that, for example, iron door has a very special setting there, if I can find it. So we are setting the color maps, strength, non-opaque, okay? So that's the one we want. So if we are going to use the Amethyst block, we should say that after the copy of, we should say that, hey, it's non-opaque. Or we should use the iron door and iron trapdoor. However, I want to return these to be iron. And let's take a look if this non-opaque is sufficient or not, because when you look at this, we have some piston behaviors that we want to make sure is happening here. And Amethyst block doesn't have them. So basically, instead of using this non-opaque and then piston behavior and stuff like that, it's easier to say, hey, this is an iron door, copy from iron door, and this is a copy of iron trapdoor, and that's it. remember, changing things in mod blocks does not need to change the datagen. Your datagen is working already. The problem with X-ray effects is related to the settings of your block. And that's it basically. So if I run the game again, of course, now you should provide redstone pulse to open the door and trapdoor, but they should behave properly regarding the X-rays, So let's take a look. So I clicked the word just to be able to check things. And now you see we don't have any X-ray effects, and that is working correctly. For the doors, you didn't see it between the recordings, but when the door would open, we would see this X-ray effect. Now it's behaving correctly. However, the last thing that I need to check, this button is reacting very fast. And honestly, I don't think that I would be able to pass through it as fast as possible. I mean, people would do that, don't they? They will hit the button and they want to move and they can't. So that's the only thing that needs to be changed, and that's it basically. So the thing is, this press tick on the button, remember, this is 1 second, this is 2 seconds. Now we have a button that is being activated for 2 seconds. Of course, I could jump into the game and test it, but I don't need to. And here is a help for you. Select some code, Ctrl-Alt-T, and select region and region. And here I can say special blocks. This way I can close it and get the whole thing as a very neat system. For example, I have ores added in here. These are ores and these are special blocks. Now, from here on, between the episodes, I will add special blocks for Ruby and for Sapphire. I'm not sure about Enderite, but I may add them. Who knows? And here's one last thing that I had to talk about, and that is the model provider for ore of Enderite, because we will talk about Enderite in future, but when you look at the textures, you see Enderite has a top and side. Basically, it looks more like the ancient debris. So how do I register a model for something like ancient debris? Is just as simple as saying that, hey, register a singleton for this block. However, I have a special model for you. Now, if you look at columns, for example, in cube column, it says that, hey, it has a map for side end, and it's called cube column. And if you look, we have different maps here. We have all side and end, side, top, bottom. This one means that, hey, we have different textures for the top and bottom, but all around the model, they are the same. This is side, front, top. This one means that, hey, we have same texture all around except the front of the block. And then we have the same texture on top and bottom that should use the same. And wall side, top, bottom, side and end for top, side and end for top. So basically, if you look at this texture map, you can see that here's the top, bottom, for example. And we had side, front, top, side, front, end. And if you look at these, it's just saying that, hey, we have a texture map. We put the side with this ID. We put the top, the front with this ID. We put the top with this ID. So if you want and really desire, and we will take a look at some of these later maybe, you can go and say that, hey, I have my own texture map. And let's take a look at this, for example. I will copy all of that. I will come into my model provider, and right on the top, I will add it. And yes, it's something like this, I'm putting the side, then I'm putting the front, and then I'm putting the top. However, I will copy this and I will say that, hey, I want a bottom. So I want to choose the bottom differently. And I want to put the back differently. So back is different, So basically what you're doing is saying that, hey, I have, for example, machine. I have a texture map, that says that I want a special texture for the left and right. The front and back has their own textures, and top and bottom has their own textures. And we can just utilize something like this for the custom texture model. And you see that it is saying that, hey, it's a factory. Okay, it's a texture model, make factory using this texture map with models. Now, again, remember, up until now, you're assigning a texture map, but we have models and we have to assign our own model again. And if you take a look, we have this block that has texture keys and most of them are using it. So we can, for example, here you see that it says, hey, we have a key for bottom, side, top, particle, inner top. And for example, another one is just, let me see if I can find, cube all, okay? It's texture key all. So it doesn't have a particle, and that's it. In other words, you can make your own model, you can make your own texture model, and you can assign these two for a texture factory, and inside your model provider, you can use anything you want as you desire, okay? So it's a factory, it's using a texture map and a model. So you can make your texture map, your custom texture map, your custom model, then your custom factory for texture models. And instead of texture models blah, here inside singleton, you directly assign your own custom model, textured model here. So basically, it's a three-step way. We will take a look at that later. However, I needed to tell you that the OR and the right that you saw in the game right now is using register singleton for cube column. Cube column is making textures with all around sides using one texture, top and bottom using another texture, and it looks exactly like ancient debris. Actually, I noticed something. When I was opening the creative tab, I still didn't see the door texture here. And when I was looking at the door on the Jade help, so I noticed that when I was looking at the log file, it was yelling about a texture being missing called block citrine door. And that needs to sit under items folder, not the blocks, textures, item, and it needs to be the name block citrine door. So I gone into Photoshop, I just tweaked the top section and I saved it as the door PNG. And now when I go back in Minecraft, you see that the Jade is working, I see the door in inventory, and I see it in the creative tab. However, now that I have the sound of the game, it is sounding like iron. So what if I want to make it sound like amethyst, but behave like an iron? Here's the thing. If you look at blocks.amethyst, you see that here it says dot sounds block sound group block amethyst. I will copy that one. And when I'm saying copy of iron door, right after the copy of iron door, I will paste it there. Okay, for both the trapdoor and the door, and relaunch the game. Again, you don't need to recreate the data. Going back into the game, hopefully if I put it down now, I should hear amethyst sound. But I'm not. So it looks like the sound for the door and the trapdoor is not using the amethyst block. So that's a shame, but it is what it is, you know. Of course, I'm sure if you look into the amethyst block, you will see that somehow, somewhere, we should be able to, just do something about the sound. But honestly, that's a minimal thing. And now between two episodes, I have to go and add the blocks for the ruby, sapphire, and I think I will add the Android. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.